My 11th wrestling match I ever had was myself and the late, great Luke Harper versus the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker, in Merida, Mexico, in front of 20,000 people. There the goosebumps go again. The gong hits and 20,000 people lose their mind, and I'm like, I'm about to wrestle Undertaker and Kane.
Why do you choose to be a wrestler?
I was this sheltered, bullied, overweight kid that got picked on and was told by teachers in my grade schools and high school that I was never going to amount to anything.
When you're wrestling in the ring, what energy are you sharing with the crowd?
The louder the crowd got, the stronger I was. Mark Henry personally picked me up from the airport, took me all around, showed me a good time, was there for my tryout. I owe so much to that man.
What was the greatness of Bray?
Just everything.
Another person now that I want to know about and the audiences want to know about is Paul Levesque. Is he the new Vince McMahon?
No, there's no new Vince McMahon. He's Triple H. He's Paul Levesque. He's his own person. One of the things that I really appreciate when I come to India, 40 million plus people that watch us every week.
I have to talk to you about Steve Austin. Who's your best friend in the locker room?
Well,
this was the first time that I got to speak with a WWE superstar, and I asked him all my genuine fan questions. Just like so many of us, I've had a very long phase in my life where I followed sports entertainment very closely. So if this is the first time you're watching a wrestler from the WWE on a podcast, you're in for something. I've tried catering to the global audience as well. If you enjoy general nerdy wrestling conversations, I tried tapping into some gems for you guys as well. This is an epic conversation with Braun Strowman on the Ranveer Show, brought to you by Sony Sports Network. If you want to watch Braun Strowman and all the other WWE superstars in action in India, make sure you tune in to the Sony Sports Network. But for now, it's Braun Strowman on TRS with an epic conversation about the WWE. Let's go. Braun Strowman, welcome to India.
thanks for having me here. I'm just still in awe of just how the welcoming has been since I've got into the country. It's been amazing. The fans, everyone has been so just unbelievable since I've been here.
We love our WWE. We love wrestling since generations. And, you know, it's like kind of a family activity for us. Like, I swear to God, my relationship with my grandfather got better and thicker because of the WWE.
I've heard that's one of the really cool things with WWE. I've heard so many stories of that, of our product bringing families together. And it's such amazing because family is so important and stuff with me and things like that. So knowing that you have a bond with your family of what we do, that's awesome.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little tired, you know, I had 19 hours of travel trying to shove all of this into a little tin can to fly over here. But no, since I've been here, it's been great. I've got some good workouts in, got to meet a lot of awesome people, ate some unbelievable food, and now we're here.
You like Indian food?
I do. I like spicy, so I was raised on spicy. Everyone's like, be careful, the food's hot over there. I was like, I know how to eat hot food.
Are you familiar with Indian food?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like you have it back in the States?
Yes. There's a really good Indian place in Orlando that I like to visit and stuff like that. I usually get Uber Eats because I don't like going out in public too much. I'm like a hermit sometimes.
Yeah. You like being away from like the public eye?
I do and I don't. So I have this love-hate relationship with it where like it took me a long time to understand how to be in public because I grew up in a tiny little town. I was the local mechanic in town to pretty much in a matter of a couple of years being in front of millions of people and everyone knowing my face everywhere I went. So I started to develop a little bit of a social anxiety from it. So it took me a few years to understand how to cope with that. But now like I embrace it, but there's still something about getting out in nature and just peace.
Yeah. You're a great guy, man. Like,
thank you.
You have such positive energy.
Life's too short to be negative. There's enough negativity in this world. I try to bring some positivity and some smiles when I'm around.
How does such a positive guy become an on-screen heel?
You know, at the end of the day, we all have a bad side to us per se. We all have that monster locked inside of us, and it's an opportunity for me to get it out because there's things that upset you throughout the day in your life that you got to bottle up and deal with. Well, when I'm in that squared circle, I get to get rid of it, and unfortunately, these hands get a hold of some other poor soul and they're on the receiving end of it.
What switches in the ring?
So I've been asked that before, and honestly, I'm not really sure. So when I was competing in World's Strongest Man, it was kind of the same way. I was quiet, reserved in the back, but when it was time to go out there and go, like I've always been able to flip that switch and just turn it on. So I'm carrying that over because in World's Strongest Man, competing in that, that's where I found my confidence in life. I was this sheltered, bullied, overweight kid that got picked on and was told by teachers in my grade schools and high school that I was never going to amount to anything. And I started to believe that when you hear it over and over and over, those actions, those words start to weigh on you. And I started doing bad things that I shouldn't have done while I was learning as a kid. But when I found the group of guys that I started training with and got involved in strongman, and then I started being successful at it, I won my very first competition. It started to instill this confidence in me that I never had in my entire life, because all of a sudden I was good enough. I was winning these contests. People were starting to praise me for what I was doing, and being able to carry that over onto this humongous platform now that is being a WWE superstar. I think that's what it really is just knowing that I still have people to prove wrong. I'm one of those human beings that I dare you to bet against me, because I'm going to do everything I can to prove you wrong. I continue to go out there and do that every time I step foot in that squared circle. So in all honesty, it's just, I'm living a dream.
Yeah, that's what it seems like from the outside. When you're growing up watching wrestling as a kid, like wrestlers are your superheroes in so many ways, which is why when you're being this vulnerable and talking about what you went through and talking about your confidence issues, which honestly every single guy goes through at least, or I'd even go as far as saying every single human goes through at every point in their life. You have a point where you kind of shed off that lack of self-confidence, but someone would assume that you, Braun Strowman, with your size, your voice, your physique, all that, doesn't have any confidence issues at all.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. That's what said. You can't always judge a book by its cover. You never know what somebody's dealing with and things like that inside. So that's why I convey my message to believe in yourself, and don't listen to these doubters and these negative people. Find people in your circle that are going to lift you up, because life is so short. Why focus on all this negativity when there's so much positivity in the world, and just gravitate towards that and push all that other crap out of the way?
Yeah. Little kind of stupid question, but this is something I've always wondered. When you're wrestling in the ring, what energy are you sharing with the crowd?
Honestly, it's the energy that I'm getting from the crowd. So that's the whole thing of being out there. And I found that when I was competing in World's Strongest Man competitions, the louder the crowd got, the stronger I was. So I find that as well inside the wrestling ring. The louder that crowd is, the crazier I am, the more willing I am to put my body and my health at risk, because I know that they're caught up in the moment, and my job is to do exactly that.
Okay. What did the World's Strongest Man phase change in you other than the obvious physical strength stuff?
Physical strength, mental strength, mental strength, I feel like honestly more so than my physical strength,
Really?
which I was, yeah, I mean, the things I did physically were unbelievable, but being able to break this mental state of I'm not good enough was one of the biggest things that I totally now as an older man, I'm realizing when I was going through this, like, yes, I was breaking world records and American records and national records and all this stuff and this weightlifting stuff. But really what I hold near and dear to that was being able to turn into the man that I am now today.
Which is what?
A positive influence, or what you said, a superhero, which I never, I don't consider myself that, but hearing and seeing from children that are having disabilities or having illnesses, and they're going in to have surgeries, and as they're going under anesthesia, they're holding my action figure. They're listening to my theme songs as they're going, because they've seen Braun Strowman overcome so much adversity in his wrestling career that if Braun Strowman can survive a car accident, I can get through this surgery. And that's what, for me and so many of the WWE superstars, that's what we do all this for. Like, people don't understand those 15 minutes that we're in the ring wrestling, that's really the smallest part of what it is to be a WWE superstar. It's these sit-down interviews, it's the make-a-wishes, it's the children's hospital visits, it's all the stuff that we do for our fans, and that reciprocates back to us, because at the end of the day, people are spending their hard-earned money, they're spending their time and giving their appreciation for what we do. So it's the least that I can do to give some back.
Why do you think India is so drawn to wrestling? Like, what do you make of that?
It's awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, it's awesome. The wrestling, there's something special to it. And being like, when WWE, we have every walk of life you could ever imagine as far as superstars. So it's a total product that everyone can watch. It's family friendly. Like you just said, your family comes together with it. You find a character that's something that's inside of you, or something that you aspire to be. And then you gravitate to it. You sink your hooks into it. You invest your emotions into that character.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the wrestling world in general, a little bit about the behind the scenes stuff. what was your first important conversation with Vince McMahon like about your future?
Oh man, so
Like,
when
did you give him ideas? Did he give you ideas? What was that?
I'll tell you the very first thing that I remember Vince saying to me that stuck with me and still to this day, he goes, I know you don't know much about what's going on in this ring, but we're going to learn on the road because I see something in you.
What do you think he saw?
I don't know. My size, my drive, my unwillingness to give up. And I think we have a lot of relations with Vince because backstory, Vince grew up in a small town of North Carolina. Family didn't have a lot. Same thing with my story and things like that. And I think it's something that we almost had a kindling of similarities. So he saw something in me and he believed in me. And he took me to the deep end of the pool and kicked me in the butt and said, sink or swim. And 10 years later, I'm still doggy paddling.
Okay. You know how you get better with every wrestling match? You get better with every podcast as well. So what improves with podcasting is your observational abilities, because I've seen so many human beings. I can kind of tell pretty quickly what a human being is made up of. So can I tell you what I believe he saw in you? And I might be totally wrong, but I want to have a shot at it. If someone interacts with you, it's very clear, very quick that you're a very well-raised guy. I don't know if you're getting one of like your childhood still has a big influence on you right now.
My mother and father are very influential in my life. Yeah. My father's my superhero, and my mom is one of the strongest human beings I've ever met.
Yeah. It comes through the way you interact with everyone, the way you interact with other human beings, like being this guy. And I know that you walk around with this little tag of maybe people looking at you as intimidating, but on the inside, you're a kid just like the rest of us, and that it's really alive, man. So this is not at all the end of the podcast. It seems like something at the end. But, when I said that it's great having you in my house, it was for hosting Braun Strowman like in my house, but it was more so about getting to see you firsthand and seeing what a gentle person you are. So that openness and, that niceness is the base of what I think Vince McMahon saw, other than like the size, the strength, the personality, and all the sexy stuff. Braun Strowman.
Sexy and Braun Strowman in the same sense.
Yeah. But your childhood plays a huge role in who you are today, man.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't be where I am in life without my mom and dad, without a doubt. They believed in me for all the crazy stuff I tried to do in my life. They were there and they supported me. They never once were like, why are you doing this? The last thing you tried to do, you failed. They've always been supportive of me, and they have full-blown dove into whatever I wanted to do in life. And it's a testament to where I am.
Yeah. So there's this question I asked some guys on the show. So we can have a conversation as men here and I can ask you about your life, or we can have a conversation as boys. So the boy in me wants to ask the boy in you, why are you a wrestler? Why do you choose to be a wrestler?
Oh, man. Let's see. I mean, in all honesty, when I was a child, like what adolescent boy watches wrestling and doesn't go, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I remember watching Hulk Hogan rip his shirt off and getting in trouble for tearing my shirt off because we weren't financially well off. I said I might have had 4 or 5 shirts at the time, and I got in trouble for ripping them off, but I didn't care because I was so caught up in that of like larger than life characters with Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan and all these greats that came before me. And just seeing that and, having an opportunity, because I never knew how to get involved in the wrestling world where I was from. Like I said, small town USA, there's not a lot going on. It's pretty much the same way it was when I left 20 years ago. So where am I going with this? My brain farted for a second. I do that sometimes. That's another trait of getting hit in the head for making a living.
You were talking about why the boy in you chose wrestling.
The boy, yes. So for me, a lot of it too I got away from where I wasn't watching wrestling. I got into strongman, and strongman at the time, thankfully it's getting better about it, but it wasn't financially feasible. I was homeless at the time, bouncing around from people's couches because I couldn't have a full-time job because I had to train so much and all this stuff. And I can remember struggling and going, I really love what I'm doing, but I can't live like this. And I had become friends with Mark Henry after I won North America's Strongest Man. And then I went on to win the Arnold Classic, and Mark Henry won the very first Arnold Classic ever. And he was always there as a judge, and he saw something in me because when I competed in World's Strongest Man, I was more than fee, fi, fo, fum, pick it up, set it down, and go to the back. I was out there Hulk Hogan. I was imagining Hulk Hogan when I was a kid, ripping my shirt off again, throwing it in the crowd, having 20,000 people go crazy at the Arnold Classic. And Mark Henry saw something, and he called Vince McMahon. He said, "You need to look at this kid." And he put his name on the line, bought my plane ticket, flew me down to Florida. Mark Henry personally picked me up from the airport, took me all around, showed me a good time, was there for my tryout. And I owe so much to that man. Like, I'm a firm believer, there's so many people that say they're self-made. I don't believe anyone on this earth is self-made. Somebody has helped you along the way, and it's whether you're humble enough to realize that and appreciate what people have done for you. And that's why I'm so animate about giving back, because I am not where I am in life without a humongous amount of people helping me along the way.
Yeah. Destiny plays a role in like life. That's the one truth I figured through the show as well.
Yep, you can't fight faith.
Yeah. What did Mark Henry tell you? What's the biggest advice he gave you?
God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Shut up and listen.
Told you to listen and learn.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's my advice that I pass on now too to younger athletes that ask me, "Hey, what did I need to do?" I said, "You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you talk."
As a professional wrestler, at this point, what are you learning?
I learn every time. I learn how to sit down and have these interviews, because this is something 10 years ago I probably wouldn't have done because I was terrified. That social anxiety would have had me in here going, "Oh, I don't know what to do," and stuff
Really?
like that. So I've learned not only as far as being an athlete in the ring, but I've learned and grown as a businessman on top of it. Like, I had so many first in-person conversations with Vince McMahon, and I learned so much because if you talk entrepreneur, businessman, he's on the Mount Rushmore of them, of what he's done for this company, this industry over the years. And then just, people's attention spans are so short nowadays because there's so much content out there to consume. So as being a WWE superstar, you constantly have to evolve with the times, because if you don't, they're going to forget about you. So it's learning some new way of invoking a different emotion, getting a different movement in a ring, stuff like that, to constantly keep up with the curve of entertainment and where it's going, because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So it's finding a way to stay ahead of that curve.
Like constant reinvention, constantly challenging yourself.
Yep.
We've had so many athletes on the show, like sports people, and that's the one truth about sports in general. Sports entertainment, I think it's actually cut from the same cloth. There's this whole conversation that people have about sports versus sports entertainment. I'm not even gonna get in there because it's already done on too many podcasts.
My funny thing is the people that talk like that. Come get in, just get in the ring with me for 5 minutes, and we'll see how much this is sport and entertainment.
You know how people have figured that out though? Like how the general public has figured it out? Through podcasts of Joe Rogan and Logan Paul and all these guys who talk to you guys. And now that we get to know your reality through these conversations, and I hope that it's okay for you and you're not feeling anxious while talking to me. I can't believe Braun Strowman would be feeling anxious talking to me. But my point is, people have gotten to know about your minds and your hearts through podcasts. And now they understand what sports entertainment actually requires of you. So you're saying that you constantly need to like challenge yourself.
Well, that's why you've seen my physique change over the years, and my move sets and my monikers and my catchphrases and all that stuff. And you watch all the superstars, the ones that have been doing it for 10 years plus now, they're always reinventing themselves. They're always keeping the snowball rolling and getting it bigger per se. Right. So it's just figuring out your niche and figuring out how to connect with the audience. Because at the end of the day, that's all it is figuring out how to connect with the audience.
What's the biggest thing Vince McMahon ever told you?
Oh man,
you can give me a bunch if there's not one single piece of advice that you want to bring up.
I can't really narrow it down to one single piece of advice because there's just been so much. Like as was said, having conversations at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, just as he wants to talk and stuff like that, and having that relationship and things like that. Because at the end of the day, he was a father figure to me as well. Because like I said, the man has done unbelievable things. Love him, hate him, however you want. You can't deny what he has done for this industry. And for me now, like especially appreciating him even more, because I know I still have tons of gas in the tank to go in wrestling, but I know there's a window when this is going to end. So now with a lot of the stuff that I learned from him on the business side of stuff, it's like, oh, now I'm enjoying trying to find this entrepreneurship because it's something that I can be competitive with still when I know my body one day is going to go, Braun, you can't do this anymore.
Got it. So he calls you at 2 and 3 a.m. at night sometimes?
Oh, he'd call me and wake me. I'd wake up. I'm like, what? Yeah, boss, what's up? He said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm asleep. He said, I just got done at the gym. And I was like, well, you're crazy.
So I don't know if you understand the impact of what I'm saying because it's a very Indian thing, but I'll try my best to explain the emotion to you. There's a lot of people in our country. Most of the country doesn't speak English. Okay, I don't know what the exact stats are, but I would go as far as saying 80% of the country is not fluent in English at least. But many of them watch wrestling. Everyone understands wrestling. And everyone inherently has respect for Vince McMahon. Even though they may not be able to understand exactly what he's saying, you can see the person's body language, you can see the person's emotion. That's how much Vince is also respected in this country. That's how much he comes up in conversation, which is why I'm asking you so much about him. And generally, he's a big part of the podcasting world. Everyone wants to know about him because there is inherent respect for everything that he's done. So my reading based on whatever I've heard on podcasts and generally what I've seen growing up, is that his head is always ticking. His head's always running when it comes to wrestling ideas.
Yep.
And he's trying to help you guys with reinvention as well. Because that's the truth about business as well. You got to keep reinventing.
Yes, absolutely.
But he's got all these creative angles to reinvent within, which is all of you guys, the superheroes.
Yeah. Well, you have to also too understand how many other entities of sport, entertainment, whatever have taken Vince's ideas. Like take American football, for example. You see the cameras that fly by on the wires and all that stuff. That was Vince. So many people have taken his ideas what he's done with WWE, and they've figured out other ways to use it in the world. And it's like I said, it speaks for himself. Like you said, whether you know what he's saying or not, you believe by his mannerism, because when he walks into a room, like he has a presence and you can feel it.
Yeah. What is the presence?
It's Vince McMahon. I don't know how else to explain it. He is Vince McMahon.
Like the walk and
it's just it. It's just, yeah. I mean, look at Conor McGregor mimicking him. I mean, it's just all that stuff. I mean, he is iconic, and so many people are going to talk about everything that he's done forever.
Who's your best friend in the locker room?
Bray. But man, in all honesty, everyone. The locker room is such a special place, and right now too, the camaraderie in there is unmatched. Like I've heard horror stories in the past with nasty stuff that guys did to each other, because at the end of the day, everybody's fighting for that spot, and it's so neat to know that this locker room now, everybody, instead of fighting over that one spot that everybody wants, everyone's fighting for the company, because they know if the company's doing well, that we're all going to be doing well.
What was the greatness of Bray?
Everything, just everything. Everything about him. He was great.
Yeah. What stuck out about him as a friend?
How he was with people. He never met a stranger. He was kind to everyone. He was a family man. Like more so what people saw on the screen was what I saw behind the scenes, because we spent more time together than we do with our own families. So just being able to learn from that man and him, like I didn't have when I moved to Florida and started wrestling for WWE, like I made more money than I ever made in my life, but it was a totally different standard of living. So living in a 1-bedroom apartment with a car, with insurance and all this stuff, like I'm living still barely surviving week to week. And when I got called up on the main roster, I didn't have enough money to pay for my hotel rooms when we went on the road. So for like the first month, Bray paid for everything for me. He bought me food. He paid for my hotel rooms, all that stuff. And then I drove him around everywhere and I learned from him. And it's just like, same thing like I talked about. There's self-made. I don't believe in that, because then again, another person that reached out their hand to help me get ahead in life. And especially in like that industry where everybody's fighting for that spot. He didn't have to do that.
Selfless guy.
Yes.
Okay. And a brother's brother.
He was the brotherest of brothers.
As a professional, what was his greatness?
Just his mind. Like to see him go in and out of these characters on the microphone, changing his verbiage, his facial expressions, what he was just, oh man, like it was just unreal, the stuff that we would talk about, and just the way he ticked. He just was different in the most amazing, special ways.
Yeah. As a fan, what I noticed about him, and I watched wrestling all my life, it was his presence. He would take over the camera, like through the screen, but I'm sure then in the ring, he would also take over the ring's energy. Correct me if I'm wrong. You would know.
You're right on, right on.
Like
Yeah.
you would know Bray Wyatt was there. And I think it can be easy for some wrestlers to fade away into the background during matches. With him, he was always there. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, that's what I said. He knew his character, he knew his craft, and he knew how to connect with the audience. With every different character that he went through, with the puppets, with everything, he found a way to connect with the audience, and it spoke volumes for it. I wrestled a guy together, with, against, everything else, and you look at every hair standing thinking about that, because he was special.
I appreciate you opening up like this, man. Yeah. It's difficult to talk about a brother.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like it takes more of a man to show his emotions than to bottle it up. And I have no problem, like, being sad, being all of it. And it's not even sad. Like, when I cry thinking about Bray, it's because I love him and I miss him.
Yeah. We all respect that as men here, man. Like, honestly, it takes a lot to be this vulnerable on screen. And there's just universal love for Bray Wyatt. You're just a part of that universal love, my brother.
That's what said. I wish I would have got more than 8 years with him, but I know I'll meet him again one day.
Yeah. So I'd lost my granddad last year, and I had to shoot a podcast. No, thank you, bro. I had to shoot a podcast 3 days after that. Shot it with one of my idols, and I told him this. Usually, I'm kind of funny on the show. I told him, I'm sorry, I'm not able to be funny right now because I just lost my granddad. And he said that, the beautiful thing about losing someone is that now you don't have to constantly tell your close ones what you're doing and where you are, because they're already with you. Yeah. And they know everything, and they're seeing you from upstairs rather than from another part of the city or another part of the world.
Yeah, very true. That's what and it's neat because, like, I can feel him at times. Like, and things just happen, and I go, I can't help but smile because I'm like, oh, that was Bray. Like, literally, I was just recently, I was visiting down a friend in Boca Grande, Florida, because I came home from my house in Wisconsin. It was like 9 degrees and snow, and I was like, I need some sunshine. I need to go to the beach. And I was sitting on the beach watching the sunset, and I started thinking about him. The next day, when I went to go to the beach, I was walking up and down the beach, and I looked up, and there was a buzzard flying around above me. Whether I smelled or whatever, I stunk, and that was why he was there to eat me. But no, I have to truly believe, because that was our saying, follow the buzzards. And I just looked up, and I just had to kind of nod and say, hey, thanks.
Yeah. I'm just saying this as a brother to you. Don't you think that now you're going to be taking forward that legacy?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
When the monster comes back, watch out.
Yeah. How you doing, bro?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Every day better, pushing forward. Just got cleared to start lifting weights again since I had my surgery and stuff like that. So one day at a time. WWE took unbelievable care of me. They sent me to Dr. Cordova at the world famous Andrews Medical Center in Birmingham, Alabama. He's the #1 surgeon in the world for this procedure. Was in great hands with that. He's so happy with where I am in my progress and stuff. So putting the size back on. And
you're looking great.
Thank you. I'm a little fluffy, but
no, you're looking great. You're looking great. Don't worry about it.
But definitely. So yeah, I just got cleared like 2.5 weeks ago to fully start lifting weights again. I'm still on no contact to the head, no taking bumps and stuff like that. So it's still going to be another month or two before we start easing back into the ring. But when it's time to go, we're going.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good phase.
Yes, sir.
100%. Are you still in pain?
No.
Not at all?
Full range of motion back and stuff like that. Like, honestly, my neck feels better than before I had the surgery. Used to, it would get caught, and I would have to do weird things to get it to kind of pop and move and stuff like that. And I had some weird feeling in my fingers. Like I said, I'm so unbelievably blessed because it was really scary. It was a milder version of the same thing that happened to Stone Cold that ended his career. So I had stenosis in the spine that I didn't know about on my C4 and 5 in my neck, and I got hit. And my head went back and it pinched my spine. It felt like lightning shot out of both my arms, and my arms went limp. So you could see on the match it was against Otis was when it happened. And so I was dealing with some stuff, and he squashed me in the corner, and my arms go limp. And you could see me freak look out, and I kind of look at my hands, and I get through and finish the match, but I take off running, and my balance was really off. So we get in the back, and I was like, hey, something's going on. I felt like I've had stingers before, is what we would call when I would play football. When you kind of tweak it, it would boom, that quick little flash of electricity. But I'd never felt like anything like this before. And then for 10 days after I had it, I had this burning, tingling, itching sensation going down while we're in this gray area of what's going on. So I knew I'm close with Steve, which is such a blessing. I mean, yeah, talk about my idols and stuff like that when I was a teenage kid, to being close friends with him, being able to call him and go, hey, so this happened, and I know you went through some of this stuff. So having him talk to me and like kind of ease my mind of like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm freaking out. Am I ever going to wrestle again? Am I ever going to have a normal life again? What's going to happen? And things like that. So having him talk to me and stuff like that, and then everybody at work and stuff like that, and Triple H being so supportive, because like I'm so hard-headed. I'm like, how can I get this fixed as fast as I can, because I want to be right back in this ring doing what I do. And he goes, look, Adam, and I'm breaking character, but he goes, look, Adam, 15 years from now, what you're doing in life is more important than what we're doing right now. Get fixed and we'll figure it out when it's time to figure it out. And that meant so much to me, because like, that's, you know, at the end of the day, like, it's scary. Like, things happen and like, okay, like, am I done? Are they going to give up on me and things like that? But knowing that I have this support system with WWE, because it's such a family there, that I felt so confident in doing this. And I'm so happy that we've got it done. And like I said, coming out of this, having no issues with anything, like, it truly is like a blessing.
Yeah. I constantly want to respond to you with things that sound like the end of the podcast, but it's not the end of the podcast. So my response to you is again something Indian. We have a saying in India, some guys are khuda ke bande, which means children of God. So God always takes care of some people. And that's there with you a lot.
I definitely put lots of praying went into this and asking. And yeah, so that's what they say when you have faith, magical things happen.
Was this the most intense injury you ever got?
So I've had quite a few. So a lot of people don't know, like, I've dealt with atrophy in my left leg since I debuted on TV. I had a lower back injury that kind of lingered in from strongman, from doing all the crazy deadlifting and stuff. But I ruptured my L5S1 disc in my lower back while I was still in developmental in the beginning in January of 2015. And I had to have emergency microdiscectomy because my whole left leg was completely paralyzed.
What is that?
So they went in my back. My low back disc ruptured and it cut and was pinching into my sciatic nerve. So it completely paralyzed this leg. At the time, the girl that I was dating, bless her soul, took care of me, rolled me through the airport in a wheelchair. WWE emergency flew me out on like a Saturday morning. I had a 5 o'clock surgery Sunday morning. After being rolled through the hospital, everything in a wheelchair, an hour and a half after I came to, I was able to stand up and walk to my room. But I only got about 85% of this leg back. So like my calf doesn't work on this leg. I have atrophy in my glute and some stuff. And that's why this leg's like 1.5 inches smaller around than this one. So yeah, dealing with that, got back with that, got cleared. Like, no one's ever recovered from this. I was back in the ring in like 3.5 months, which everyone was like, how is this guy doing this? But it's just, I don't know. I just do. And I want, and I refuse to let stuff hold me back, whether I should listen to myself or listen to other people. I just like, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. And got back in the ring, got cleared, and I was the Rosebud, the gladiator with Adam Rose, and Vince saw me and goes, what is this guy doing this for? So I ended up having a dark match in NXT. He saw what he liked, and then he called me up to be part of the Wyatt family. I had 5 wrestling matches my entire life when I debuted on TV.
Damn.
So, yeah, that's what I said, the testament to Vince seeing something in me and believing in me and taking a shot. That's what I said, man. I truly blessed.
Has it ever functionally affected you?
Oh, yeah, that's what I used to. If you watch me walk around and stuff like that, I've got a limp and things like that. Like, my cousins always, like, laugh because, like, I'll spend time with them. When I was building my place in Wisconsin, I would stay at their house. And after wrestling for the weekend, I'd get up to come out in the morning. They're like, I don't know how you do what you do on TV. You could barely walk and stuff like that because of the soreness and everything. But like I said, it all goes back to that being able to flip that switch on. When I hear my music and I walk through that curtain and 30,000 people go crazy, I'm invincible. I don't feel any of this pain. I don't know that my leg's messed up. I don't know that my back's messed up. Nothing. Because when I'm out there, that feeling makes me feel like the Incredible Hulk. That's my alter ego.
Yeah. Is any of Adam present in front of the 30,000 people?
Oh, yeah. So Braun is just Adam cranked to like 13. There's a lot of, that's what I said, like all that negativity that I dealt with as a child that I bottled up. That's what I said. I feel like everyone has a monster inside of them. And it's whether you know how to control that monster. When I was younger, I was not necessarily the greatest at it. And it got me in trouble with doing some stupid stuff. But as I learned and I got older and I was able to harness that and figure out how to control that rage that I have inside of me, and then being able to turn that switch on and portray it into a character and make people believe that what I'm doing is violent or is angry and all this stuff. So it's just that's all in that talking about learning and evolving as a superstar is figuring out how to take your human emotions of what you've dealt with in life, then turn it into something that your character can do so you can invoke emotion out of the crowd.
I have to talk to you about Steve Austin.
What?
I think he has been the biggest icon in wrestling for India, and I'll tell you why. It's him and John Cena up till this point. I don't think wrestling was that mainstream in India during Hulk Hogan's time, and it became mainstream in the Attitude Era. So everyone's first wrestler that they saw was Steve Austin. At least for my, like, I'm 93 born. So from everyone my age, it was Steve Austin. What's he like as a guy?
But he's awesome. Like he is, same thing with Steve. Like Stone Cold is Steve with the volume cranked all the way up. He's a beer drinking SOB country boy. Like that's what I said. That's why we get along so well. It's just because we're rednecks, and I'm proud of it. But just a great guy. Always, I mean, picks up the phone like instantly when talking. If I want to talk to him about character stuff. And like just to test of what the unbelievable guy, one of my best friends in Florida, Scott, he's 40 years old. He has Down syndrome. He's a multiple time gold medalist in the Special Olympics. And I came home and I surprised him and showed him because he was bowling in the regionals to move on to the next round. And we were talking and I could tell he was a little off and he was having a bad day. And we got on the topic and he started talking about Stone Cold. And I was like, hang on a second. And I FaceTimed Steve right then on the spot, and he answered the phone and gave my best buddy a pep talk, and to see his like demeanor change and like just that speaks for the type of guy that he is to go out of it. He didn't have to answer his phone in a random Tuesday at 3:00 in the afternoon and spend 10 minutes talking on a phone to someone he's never met. So like, just like I said, the testament of what an unbelievable human being he is outside of the ring and what he did in the ring and what he continues to do for our industry is just, he's awesome.
Have you ever seen him showing the finger to anyone?
Oh yeah, he's done it to me many times. That's one of my coolest memories of like and stuff that I like to brag about. Like I said, all this stuff, like talking full circle, how this all works is like, I can remember watching, because I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling when I was younger and stuff like that. So I had to watch it at my friend's house. And I can remember kicking my friends in the ding dongs and giving them stunners in the hallways of high school and stuff like that. To at one point, a couple of years ago, I'm chugging beers in the middle of Madison Square Garden, the main event of Monday Night Raw with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, what is this life I'm living? Like, I'm waiting to get pinched and wake up and be like, oh man, that was a cool dream. I want to go back to sleep.
Man, I can't imagine what it's like being shown a finger by Stone Cold. It probably feels nice.
It does. It's warm and it's almost like a hug.
Thank you for validating my childhood, Steve. That's what it would probably feel like. Do it again, Steve. But what's he like as a guy to hang out with in terms of something tells me he's extremely motivational as a guy.
Well, first and foremost, he's a good brother. I mean, that's what it is. And very, like I said, he's been through a lot of stuff in his career. You've seen the ups and downs of what it took to get to where he was of Stone Cold with the Ringmaster and all these other things that so many of us have done ups and downs in our careers. But when you find that it and you gravitate to it and you put every bit of your ounce of being and fiber and love into it, it turns into something magical. And that's exactly what he did. And it's just, like I said, when he comes around, like he commands attention because like you can't deny he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And his mind is so amazing for the business to be able to sit down and pick his brain. And that all falls into that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Mm-hmm. So that's what I said. Anytime I have the opportunity to sit around and listen and pick his brain to learn more about this business, it's an unbelievable opportunity.
I'm just asking you all my own fan questions, honestly. Here, I also represent a big chunk of how India sees wrestling because you're our first WWE podcast. So I'm having so much fun speaking with you. Is there anything that you pick up from Rey Mysterio as a wrestler? Because you guys are so different physically, but I'm sure there's some aspect of him as a wrestler that you learn from.
Oh yeah, so like learning from all that, because like when you're working with these high flyers and these aerial guys, like people don't understand what it takes on the other end of being the base to make sure that these guys, like take Logan Paul for example, kudos to him at the match he just had with Ray in Saudi Arabia. He was a little bit out of position for that moonsault that Ray hit off the thing, but he had the whereabouts to catch him and save him, because if not, it could have broke his neck. So knowing that, we all have to do this together. None of this happens with one person, and we're taking each other's lives into our hands out there. So being able to learn and watch him, and then gravitating that, working with Ricochet, because Ricochet works a lot of similar style like that, is knowing that, because you have to be well-rounded at everything. You can't just be one-sided. You have to be versatile to be a WWE superstar. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the shuffle and you're not going to make it. So being able, the same thing, Ray, another one, probably the nicest human being this business has ever had in it. Like, I've never heard a negative thing about Ray. He's a drop of a ray of sunshine when he walks into the room. You can't help but smile. He's so respectful, goes out of his way to say hi to everyone and stuff like that. And he doesn't have to do that. He's Rey freaking Mysterio. So like for what he's done for the business, same thing. Like it's so cool, because I've watched these guys from when I was a teenager to now being able to share a locker room with them. And it's just, like I said, it's half the time I don't believe this is real.
Who's that jumping out the sky? Throwback. That's how we. And then I think after that was booyaka, booyaka, booyaka. With wrestling fans, often there'd be many matches which you probably won't pay complete attention to, but if it was Rey Mysterio wrestling, you'd pay attention to like every move that's happening.
Because you never knew what he was going to do, because some of the stuff that he does is borderline unbelievable. It's like, wait a second, that's not humanly possible. So it's neat. That's what I said. It's just like I said, he is iconic. Like people will talk about him for as long as this entertainment entity that WWE exists. And then even on that, he's cemented himself in history.
One layer deep, what does it take to be a high flyer? Like physically, what does it take?
I couldn't tell you that. Look at me. Less body mass than me. I don't know. We're all wired differently. Like, let's be for real. To go out there 4 days a week, get slammed on the ground, never sleep, travel all over the world. Like I say everyone, like WWE superstars are just wired a little bit differently. And that's what it said, talking about being able to work with Ricochet and seeing him, because right now there's nobody who can do what he can do. Like I said, I love Ray to death, but Ray's getting up there like me in age and stuff like that, and it happens to all of us. But what Ricochet's capable of doing, like he doesn't even half the time showcase what he's capable of, and it's just unbelievable. That's what it said, like working with him, the synergy that we had with him being the aerial high flyer and all the crazy acrobatic stuff, with my brute force and sheer strength and stuff like that. Like it was just a match made in heaven. And that's why the fans were getting so behind it, and we were really starting to cook. And then, things happen.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember that phase where Kane and RVD
were
tag team.
Yeah, or even Kane and Daniel Bryan, stuff like that. That's always worked, because there's something to that. One is the size contrast. It was like take Team Little Big when I did the mixed match challenge with Alexa Bliss. There's something to seeing this and this standing next to it. It makes for entertainment. It's appealing to the eyes and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, at the end of the day, man, we're like, I travel around the world and I play fight with my friends in our underwear.
Best job in the world.
It is. It absolutely is.
Okay. Oh, man. I mean, it's very obvious that core strength is the biggest physical asset that a wrestler needs from an athletic perspective. But what else other than core strength? Stamina,
mental whereabouts, ring awareness. There's so much that goes in. There's so many moving parts, and like knowing where the cameras are going to be, all that stuff. Being able to remember a 5,000 word paper that they hand you 15 minutes ago. Memorize this is what you're saying on camera tonight. So there's so many aspects of that, like being on for Monday Night Raw, 3-hour live production. There are no safety nets. There are no, oops, sorry, let me redo that. So you got to be able to work and improv and learn on the fly and continue to do that. And that's why when you look at the landscape of what WWE is, you can understand why certain people are in certain positions. Like take the Miz, for example. You can shove him into anything and he's going to make it happen because he's that good at what he does. He knows his character. He's capable physical in the ring. His athletic ability is unbelievable. And he's great on the microphone. I've seen that guy memorize scripts in like 5 minutes and go out there and hit it like word for word. And I'm like, man, I can't do that. So it's just, that's what I said. Everybody has their own reason, their own niche, why they're there.
Is it intimidating to talk in front of that big a crowd?
It used to be. Now it's like I have fun with it, stuff like that. Because I'm lucky it got to the point where like I get bullet points. They're like, okay, you need to get this across, and this across, go. So with me, like you can tell in my earlier career when I was having to do full scripted promos, and you could tell that because it'd be more like, oh, I'm trying to remember what I'm saying instead of like, all right, I need to get this point across, and fill in the rest and go. That was like I did a movie with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly back in 2018, and watching those guys ad-lib throughout the thing, and you just see the director in the background just keep rolling, because that's where all that magic, that gold happens of that impromptu stuff that's coming out. That's the whole thing behind my catchphrase, when get these hands, was a random thing that happened. I got radioed on television, so like they said, hey, bump Heath Slater, roll out of the ring, or excuse me, bump Rhino, roll out of the ring, and cut a promo. And I'm like, about what? And they're like, they just said cut a promo. I was like, okay. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. And Heath was back and forth running around. And that's where I was like, look, you cheerleader, you can either stand on the floor and shut your mouth, or you can get in this ring and get these hands like your partner. And I get to the back and get these hands is trending. And then it went on to be the #1 piece of merchandise seller for the year.
Yeah.
And so it's just catching lightning in a bottle. You never know what's going to get over.
Another part of your destiny.
Yeah.
Like this is just, there's so much destiny at play as you're talking about your life. Again, another person now that I want to know about and the audiences want to know about is Paul Levesque.
Oh, H, boss. Like I said, speaking on what we talked about earlier with him, putting my health first and foremost, he's unbelievable. He cares. He's great. I mean, look at his lineage that he left in the ring, and now what he's doing moving forward, carrying the company after the merger with TKO and all this stuff. Like, our products is hotter than it's ever been. We're selling out everywhere we go. We're breaking, like, I broke a record of drawing 3.7 million live eyes. It's one of the most viewed segments in the last 15 years and stuff like that. So it speaks for the testament. I mean, look at what's going on in the landscape now. H is in the kitchen. He's cooking. I mean, with CM Punk coming back and all the controversy behind that, everything else going on, like, the man's a genius, and it just continues, like I said, to push forward that envelope of always adapting and being in that entertainment space. Because when you talk entertainment, who does it better than us?
Is he the new Vince McMahon?
There's no new Vince McMahon. He's Triple H. He's Paul Levesque. He's his own person.
But what's common between the two, and what's different between
their love and passion for this business? That's the biggest thing that I see the common between them. And then everybody's, they have different flavors. I tell everybody, like, wrestling is like ice cream. It's figuring out what flavor you like.
What flavor do you like?
Chocolate.
In wrestling terms.
No, I like me. I like my character. I mean, that's what I said. People always ask, well, who do you watch? Who do you like want to like mimic and this and that? I said, I watch things here and there to learn some moves, but I don't want to be anyone else. I don't want to be the next Undertaker. I don't want to be the next Kane. I want to be the first Braun Strowman. You are the first Braun
Strowman. What do you think is your biggest advantage other than your size?
My sheer will to never give up. That prove people wrong, and that I almost carried as a chip on my shoulder because all those people that told me I was never going to be good enough, I go, how do you like me now?
Do you believe that you're done?
No.
You still have more to prove?
I still have more to prove. Whether it's in the wrestling ring, it's in the business world, motivational speaking, I'll never stop working. I don't know how to sit around and do nothing. I go crazy. I have to be doing something. And I know I was given a gift with my sheer stature, and now realizing with my heart and my mind and my passion for life, like there's so much more I have to offer this world.
The one thing I'm finding weird about talking to you is we had Ronnie Coleman on the show yesterday. The bodybuilder?
Oh, Ronnie's another idol of mine. I've done a lot of stuff and been around Ronnie many times.
Yeah. So just y'all are so similar in so many ways. Both very pure on the inside. Inner child is completely alive. Uh, you'll have this whole powerlifting and strength based background. You'll have a football background, both of you, and then you'll use that base to go and conquer another world. He did it with bodybuilding, and you're doing it with wrestling. Do you think this multidisciplinary thing actually pays off a lot in wrestling for you?
A lot. I
the
mean, everything
football-
takes to be successful at anything. I feel like you have to have discipline. If you don't have discipline, then what are you doing?
No, I meant like, do you think the football is also paying off in the wrestling?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you look at so many guys that have come that are like here now, stuff like that, Baron Corbin, guys like that, and stuff that played in the NFL and things like that. Like, there's no arguing, like, to be that high level of a football player, you are an unbelievable athlete and stuff like that. And the physicality of it and the strength that's involved and the stamina that's involved, like, it goes hand in hand with it and stuff like that. And then it's being able to figure out how to articulate that into being an entertainer.
Yeah. I think I was seeing a podcast featuring the Big Show, if I'm not mistaken, and he spoke about how John Cena and Kane were the two strongest guys he worked with. And his reason for saying that was because he said that most people assume strength is when you just lift someone. But in our industry, strength is about how stable you can keep someone on your shoulders, because you have to keep the person safe as well. Would you agree, John?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Cena and Kane are unbelievably strong. I mean, Big E is one of the strongest human beings to ever do it. I mean, Mark Henry, myself, there's been so many guys come along the way that are, yeah, and that's what I was talking about. Like I was talking about with Rey Mysterio, being that base, being able to be strong, catching a guy out of midair, knowing that you're not going to drop him on his head and stuff like that. And like I said, you've seen multiple times me hoisting Big Show up on my shoulder where I literally picked him up, threw him over the top rope out of the ring and stuff. And for a guy that size to let some green kid take his life into his hands, like, that speaks for him as well, because I learned so much from him. I call Big Show dad. He's my wrestling dad. Kane and Mark Henry are my uncles, and Undertaker's my grandpa. So that was with me coming into the business. I was so fortunate at the time, because that's my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Those four right there, the four best big men in my opinion to do it. So when I'm coming into the business, as they're phasing out and stuff, to be able to be underneath that learning tree and have them pass down this knowledge to me. And now with me being able to do it, like with the Giant Omos and stuff like that, and some of these other bigger kids that are coming up from NXT, because that's how this business works. You pass the knowledge on, because one day you can't do this anymore. Why take everything that you learn from somebody else with you? Pass it on to the next generation so we can keep what we do and what we love going, which is WWE.
Chocolate learns from chocolate. That's what it is, right? Like, you have to ask the bigger guys about their personal challenges about being a bigger guy.
Yep.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yep.
What did those big guys tell you?
Just like I said, they just, not as much as telling me, but helping me when I did something. Like, trust me, I definitely knew when I did something wrong, because they were waiting on me when I come through the curtain to yell at me, what the fuck are you doing that for out there? But they were also there, hey, that looked good. That was, yeah, do that. Can keep that move, throw that away and stuff like that. So, like, funny story, like, my 11th wrestling match I ever had was myself and the late, great Luke Harper versus the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker, in Merida, Mexico, in front of 20,000 people. And they didn't talk to me, didn't say a word, anything. And I'm walking out there, and the gong hits, and there the goosebumps go again. The gong hits, and 20,000 people lose their mind. And I'm like, I'm about to wrestle the Undertaker and Kane. And it was just, wow. And then, like I said, and to be able to do the things that I've done with them and what they've passed on to me and stuff, it's just, it all falls into that stuff. Like I said, like, I still don't feel like this is a reality.
You're living the dream of a million teenage guys
Really?
from all over the world.
Yeah.
We used to play the PlayStation video games. SmackDown, shut your mouth.
Oh.
SmackDown, here comes the pain and all. We would make characters who looked like you, like a big guy with a beard, who would then compete against Kane and the Undertaker. So I can't imagine what your reality is like.
Oh, that's what I said. I mean, like, seeing myself come to life in a video game and these action figures and stuff like that, and like Funko Pops and all the different apps and posters and pictures and T-shirts and you name it. People getting tattoos of my face on their bodies. And I'm like, how is this? Like, yeah, it's just, so unbelievable. Like I said, to be immortalized in a piece of plastic and like jacked, ripped abs, all this stuff from this fat little kid that was told he was never going to do anything, which is one of my favorite things of the story I like to tell. A teacher that told me I was never going to amount to anything. My first action figure, when I got it, I signed it to her and I said, "Thanks for everything." And I mailed it to the school.
Wow. Did she respond?
No, I never heard anything back, but I'm sure she got it.
Damn. Damn. Oh, dude, this has been an incredible conversation, honestly. Is there anything you wish to talk about to the Indian fans?
I feel like we're covering it. You're doing a great job interviewing me.
Okay, I'm glad. It's going all right for you,
Awesome.
right?
I'd let you know if it wasn't.
Have you had bad?
Oh yeah.
Like what happens?
People with these loaded questions and stuff like that. Things happen. Not everybody has your best interest in for them. So it's very nice. Like I said, some people do the clickbait stuff with these podcasts and things like that, but it's always fun. Like I said, even the clickbait stuff, I always have really cheeky answers for those. Sometimes I get in trouble on the internet, but you know what? If you're stirring the pot and people are talking about you, it means you're doing something right.
But I mean, why would someone want to piss you off?
Mike Tyson said it best, and the one thing, people are too comfortable talking shit on the internet and not getting punched in the face for it.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
why.
I mean, my whole angle with this show is, Braun, what if you and me never meet again in life? You're not going to remember what I said to you, what I asked you. You're going to remember how you felt in this interaction. That's all you're going to remember for this. I don't want to leave you feeling bad.
No,
especially,
absolutely.
I mean, in India, we have a saying. It says, Atiti Deva Bhava, which means my guest is my God. So I'm not just hosting you as a podcast host here. You're in my country. And I'm going to ensure that your little toe is comfortable.
with this paint that I need to get off of here. So I saw you peeping at my toes, and I bet you're like, why has he got all this half painted toenails on? So I went with my buddy that has Down syndrome, and we got pedicures, and he wanted me to get my toes painted.
No judgments, man. You do you.
But no, to talk about what you just said about the welcoming and how you treat me because I'm in your country and your home, that's one of the things that I really appreciate when I come to India. So I'll say this about the fans here and the people here. Everyone is so nice and courteous and goes out of their way to make sure everything that I'm doing is set right and is okay. And it's such a nice breath of fresh air because certain places in the world, they aren't like that. And everyone is so nice and so appreciative. And that's why I love coming over here, because at the end of the day, like with where I'm at right now and why I'm here is because this is a thank you to the fans and the support of the 40 million plus people that watch us every week. I came over here to say thank you. I came over here to meet with the fans, to engage with you, to engage with Sony, with all of our partners and stuff like that, as a thank you for how amazing the fans are here and stuff like that. So I want to tip my hat and namaste India for always taking unbelievable care of myself and all the other WWE superstars.
Yeah, we have pyar for you. Pyar means love. There's a lot of love for you. Honestly, and I'm not just saying
No,
that.
I see it. I believe it. I see it. I just saw it earlier. We just did a meet and greet with 200-300 people, and just seeing the big boss of the radio station coming over and going, "Thank you so much. Look how happy everyone is."
Yeah.
Like, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
As much as I'm this big scary monster, like deep down inside, like I'm passionate. I care. Like that's the cool thing, and I say everyone. That's what makes humans different than animals. When we work together as a unit, as human beings, look at what we're capable of.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll be transparent with you about something. I feel like through one's 20s, they kind of get caught up with life. It happens to people all over the world because you're trying to figure out your life, etc.
Yeah.
So many guys my age got out of a bunch of their childhood passions. For me, it was a lot of sports. It was sports entertainment as well. And I've started getting back into wrestling again. So a lot of the guys my age are very pumped about CM Punk's return. What's the environment in the dressing room like?
I don't know. So I haven't been there to see any of it yet. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm all about business. And if he's drawing eyes and he's selling tickets, that's great. Because if the company's doing great, we're all doing great. I've heard mixed reviews on him and certain things like that, but I'm a person that judges a character by how I'm treated by him. So I'll see when I meet him, and he can get these hands just like anybody else.
Okay. What have you heard about CM Punk in the dressing room over the years?
Just there's been certain things that you read the dirt sheets and this and that, so I don't know what's true about it, that he's hard to be around and yada, yada, yada. Like I said, I don't know. I've never personally met the guy. I'm honestly looking forward to meeting him. So that's what I said. I'll see when I get to meet him.
If you play football, if you see another footballer on television, you can tell a lot more about his game than the average person who's never played football. So as a wrestler, what can you tell about the wrestler CM Punk? What's special about him?
I mean, he's always been canny on the microphone, in my opinion. He's very good at his craft in the ring. He's well oiled as far as a wrestler and stuff like that. So, like I said, we'll have to see how it goes this go around.
Okay. All right. And one last question for you in today's episode. What do you think of the great Khali?
He's gigantic. one of the largest human beings that I've ever seen. When I've only been had the opportunity to be in the ring with him once, and it was at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and he hit me with that big chop in the head and just about knocked me loopy, but not loopy enough to pick his giant butt up and dump him over the top rope like I did with the other 49 guys in that match.
What's it like competing in a Royal Rumble? Just generally.
It's chaotic. And I always feel like anytime I'm in these multi-man matches, everyone gangs up on me. Which, I mean, let's be for real, why wouldn't you? Let's get rid of the biggest, strongest, baddest SOB out here. But it don't always work out that way for everybody.
How do you deal with all that chaos going around?
I just start swinging. I tell everybody, watch your lips.
And get these hands.
Yeah.
But what goes on in your head as a professional?
It's just a lot. So like I said, as far as like for me, like breaking the wall and stuff like that, for me, I really like knowing everything that's going on in the match. Like I'm kind of one of those guys that dictates and makes sure matches are flowing how they want to be. So I like knowing everything that's going on. So when you got 30 other people in there and you're worried about what you're doing, you're worried about what everyone else is doing. Because at the end of the day, like I'm so ring aware of what's going on. One, because I'm looking out for my health. I'm looking out for other people's health. Because when you got 30 guys in the ring and just chaos and there's fists and feet and everything flying everywhere, things happen. So being able to kind of orchestrate and see what's going on and kind of dictate, not calling myself like a ring general or anything like that, because Lord knows like 90% of the guys and girls that I work with have wrestled way longer than I have. But I've wrestled at this high level with WWE and I've only done WWE. So knowing our style of storytelling and things like that, being able to know the whereabouts of what's going on, it just helps the matches flow and making sure like we're catching things on camera angles. So there's nothing worse than doing some big crazy move and the camera's not on you, you're out of position for it, because it's like, okay, why did I just take that massive bump? No one's going to see it.
What does it take as a professional wrestler to become a world champion? In terms of, I'm actually asking Adam this. You know, I know this is a very long question that I've asked you, as in the answer might be a little long, but I'd just love to hear it from your perspective.
For being a champion in WWE, it's so, like I said, what I talk about, the wrestling is honestly like the smallest part of what we do. Being a champion in WWE is the greatest prestige that you can have, because that means the company, you're representing the company, you're carrying the company. So being able to sit down and have these interviews, going around doing your media stuff, not sleeping and going straight into business meetings, going and meeting sponsors, going and doing podcasts, doing interviews, children's hospitals, everything that comes along with it, and then still going out there and being able to perform and engage and get the emotions out of the fans, make them believe and feel and all that stuff. There's so many moving parts that it takes to be that champion.
The biggest challenge is doing all of this together and then balancing out.
Yeah.
Like just whoever you are on the inside as well.
Yep. Staying true. That's why I try. It's hard in a world like this. You get caught up in the shuffle and stuff like that. But if you can stay true to yourself and what you believe in, man, it's really truly is amazing what you can accomplish in life.
Yeah. As I said earlier, you're a really blessed guy. That's
Absolutely.
what's come through on this episode as well, man. Braun Strowman, thank you for being on the Ranveer Show. This was my first wrestling-based podcast. So lots of fun.
Yes, sir. It was an honor.
Yeah, I don't care really, about us recording the episode. It was great getting to know you as a guy. You're too pure on the inside, man. Like the inner child's alive. And, I hope that God and the universe just brings you more joy.
Thank you.
Of course, the success will come.
Thank you, sir.
But I hope that you lead yourself into a big world full of joy. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was the episode for today, ladies and gentlemen. This was so much fun. These kind of conversations do not feel like work at all. These are the kind of conversations I would have had with a WWE wrestler if I met them at a party. This is the best job in the world. These are all my own fan questions. Please tell me what you thought of today's episode. I'd love to know in the comment section. I'm 100% sure that we're going to be speaking to a lot more WWE superstars in the future. So tell me who you'd like to see featured on TRS. Absolutely love wrestling conversations. I consume a lot of wrestling-based podcasts. So this is one of the most fun aspects of my career. And I'm sure it came through if you've listened to the entire length of the podcast. Special thanks to the Sony Sports Network for making this happen. Big thank you to Braun Strowman. What I want to say about him is that just like Ronnie Coleman, his innocence stayed with me through the episode. You'd assume that he's the monster amongst men. He's taken part in the world's strongest man competitions. You'd probably think he's an intimidating guy, but it's just his persona that's intimidating. If you are in him, if you're in the same room as him, you feel like it's a brother. You feel like it's a gentle soul that's with you, and that's what's beautiful about him. No matter how big and intimidating he looks, he's a child on the inside, and it really rubs off on you. I'm sure you guys felt it through the journey of this podcast as well. We'll be back very soon with more special WWE themed episodes of TRS.